And following this week's election, people across the country and here in Chicago have received racist, targeted texts.
FBI investigating a rash of racist text messages being sent across America invoking slavery.
We're hearing from one South Florida woman who says that she was targeted.
Greetings, you have been selected to pick cotton at the nearest plantation.
Corin Freeman of Fort Lauderdale is one of a growing number of black women, men, and children across the country reporting getting these text messages.
And immediately, I was taken aback and I felt my heart drop down into my stomach and I was afraid.
And tonight on KCRT News, we have unprecedented coverage by mainstream news. The same news that refuses to cover the hangings from trees of black males before the election, the disappearances of black children, possibly into trafficking, since we've been freed. But yet they are all jumping on these so-called racist text messages. Shall we look under the hood and see who's really behind these messages? Let's do it.
These messages invoking slavery and telling people they've been selected to pick cotton have been sent to black people across the country, including here in Oklahoma.
I was kind of shocked a little bit. I thought it was one of my friends probably playing like a trick or something.
The FBI is looking into where these messages came from, but right now, it's not clear. 17-year-old Gregory Courtney, when he heard black people across the country got this message, he found it a little more sinister.
I was hurt a little bit, to be honest. I was hurt a little bit. And then I just seen it. And then I told my friends, and then that's when they told me they got one too.
He even responded, saying what happens if he doesn't cooperate.
They had said that if I don't cooperate, they're going to make me cooperate.
Some attorneys general in other states are looking into this. I reached out to our Attorney General Gentner Drummond's office. He says the FBI is handling this. In Oklahoma City, Colby Farrell.
Now, to prevent this video from being blocked like my last three, I'm going to fall back on commenting, and I'm just going to kind of keep score. So what we have here, in addition to the unusual amount of hate going around post-election, we have one that's specifically tailored to black people, and it's gone mainstream news viral, which is not unusual for issues that black people have. And second, the attorney generals of each of these city-states are looking into this particular case. Also, each of these cities' reporters are stating that the FBI is looking into it and suggesting us as black people call the police about these text messages.
You do receive any of these messages or even already have to report it to the AG's office, but you can also report it to your local police department as well as your cell phone provider.
This is an intentional scare tactic that someone is doing to make black people feel disempowered.
Those targeted say they started getting the messages Wednesday,
The day after Election Day. The boldness is real.
Black students have also reported getting text messages addressing them as Negro. Congratulations, you have been selected as a slave.
Representative Span Wilder says she took the text to the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division and the Charleston County Sheriff's Office and encouraged anyone who receives them to do the same in their respective jurisdiction.
Not just reported in Bloomfield, Connecticut, it's much bigger than that. More than a dozen states. The National Office of the FBI is investigating. The local office of the FBI here in Connecticut obviously knows about it, and local police here are investigating. People in at least 15 states from Connecticut to California got the text. Nationally, the FBI leading the investigation. Locally, the president of the NAACP says, make no mistake, this is hate in its most evil form.
We're just getting a lot of calls. A lot of people are concerned, getting a lot of text messages of individuals that are really upset about it.
Nothing really to see here, folks. It's just your NAACP, like as usual, out here speaking on behalf of black people and issues that pertain to them. And by the way, the NAACP is not compromised by the people that run television or infiltrating our government. That's right, for us and by us, the NAACP is one of the remaining institutions from the civil rights era untouched.
Investigators say if you or someone you know gets this text, do not erase it. If they happen to be a student, they can report it to their principal. If they're not in school, they can contact their local police department to let them know.
I was shocked. I was scared. I was nervous. I was upset.
The state attorney general, along with the FBI, are investigating. State AG Anthony Brown says the text messages rise to the level of a hate crime.
It's outrageous, and it really reflects, I think, what is a depraved and demented outlook and mindset for whoever the senders are.
How did you get my number, and how do I defend myself, and how do I protect myself, and what is going to be done about this?
Whoever this is has targeted black youth who are relatively untouched by the hatred and ugliness of our history. And to those youth, I want to tell you that you fight fear on its level with fear. We are a fearless people. Let us continue our search for the culprit, emotionally detached.
It's worrisome. The whole election had people anxious, and then now we have to deal with random messages coming across our phone to black people, people of color. It's not fair.
We have to recognize when our enemy is defeated by our collective power. They resort to insults based on our unresolved traumatic history. The same history they claim has nothing to do with us when we call for reparations. Let us recognize their pain with joy and laughter, encouraging free speech, responding with even more insulting truths that exploit their generational traumas.
letting them know reality and fantasy are two different things. Anything more than a text would leave their mothers guilty, screaming, throwing themselves over coffins, screaming, "I'm sorry." They better have access to an infinite amount of these vans, because none will ever return.
I spoke to the president of NAACP here in Greenville, and he says it's just not about, words being on a screen. It's the intent behind them.
Because if I don't value your life, I'll send you texts like that. You took the time to find these individuals and pinpoint them to be able to send these messages. That means that you took time to strategically find out who these individuals were, and you knew who they were that you was contacting. So why would I not think that you wouldn't go any further than just text messages?
This relatively unknown NAACP member is not spreading fear. He's not fear-mongering at all. He's very logical, and uncompromised. So a punk sitting behind a computer that typed up these messages is liable to come out here and physically hurt us. Thank you, Mr. NAACP member, who again is uncompromised. Thank you.
Reverend Fleming points out the timing.
As we look at the plan that was laid out before us, was already strategic in essence of, again, Project 2025. As we continue to keep seeing these type of incidents that take place, then you end up having this incident right after the election.
Wait, the national president of the NAACP saying in a statement, the unfortunate reality of electing a president who historically has embraced and at times encouraged hate is unfolding before our eyes. The Trump campaign is denying any involvement.
According to former federal agent Phil Carter, the FBI has a number of resources to reveal those who are responsible, including identifying IP addresses.
Are there threats involved? Didn't see any. Not to say that someone didn't get one, but how they obtained the list, that's the crime.
He believes there is a strategy here, beginning with how the victims were selected.
It makes no sense at all for only African Americans to be targeted in this. There's no white people. So what they did is they got their hands on a list, a group, a fraternity, a sorority list, a campus list, some group that there's a commonality.
Some versions of the text are signed "Sincerely a Trump supporter."
It's very possible it could be somebody that's disgruntled about how the election went, and so they're indicating that they're a Trump supporter.
Did you catch that clue? They're indicating they're Trump supporters. It's a powerful group that's angry with the results of the election, and they have powerful resources like the mainstream news media.
Indicating that they're a Trump supporter, hoping to, cause additional friction.
Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost is saying in a statement, quote, "I'm aware of these despicable messages and my office is looking into it. Other people have no First Amendment right to your phone, and free speech doesn't protect telephone harassment."
The thing about it is they used her whole name. And so I'm like, what? And I asked her, what was it sent? Who else was it sent to? She said, her other friends. I said, was it just the black kids or everybody? She said, just the black kids. So that was like super alarming.
As a black person, you probably find this point particularly jarring, that they know the names of some of these victims of these text messages. That's really powerful. Whoever this was had to have access to something like the census, right? Like the census, to know the names and the color of these people.
Latoya Buford tells us her daughter received the text around 9:30 Wednesday night. The questions started swirling.
What is this? Who did it come from? Why?
In a statement, a spokesperson for the FBI's Sacramento field office says the FBI is aware of the offensive and racist text messages sent to individuals around the country and is in contact with the Justice Department and other federal authorities on the matter. As always, we encourage members of the public to report threats of physical violence to local law enforcement authorities.
Obviously gaslighting. Is this some type of a joke? You're asking black people to call the authorities over text messages?
The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office encouraged anyone who receives this text or any other type of disturbing content like it to report it to the Sheriff's Office. Buford says she has no idea how anyone would have gotten her daughter's full name, phone number, and knew her race.
Who has gotten all this information and who is targeting black kids?
If at this point you believe that the perpetrator is a Trump supporter, then you're not paying attention. We want to find out who really did this. So remove your emotions.
Something has to be done about it.
Our trusty old government says they can't do anything specifically for a group of people, but this happens specifically to a group of people.
My son, if he said he's going to come to me to ask for me why they say that because I'm black.
I was concerned about how they would identify the demographics of the students. How do they know who to target?
The FBI now getting involved, saying they're aware of the offensive and racist text messages and are in contact with the Justice Department and encourage the public to report threats of physical violence to local law enforcement.
Now in their latest press release, the FBI says it is not ready to confirm reports that these messages originated from abroad.
Wednesday night at 10:10, Carolyn Mitchell got a text message from a number she did not have in her phone. Mitchell replied and never got a response. Her first thought was that it had something to do with the election. Other texts black Americans have gotten say they'll be picked up in a white van with a Trump representative from your area.
How do you know that we're black? How do you even know our number? Where do you get this from? How do you know who we voted for?
Great questions. I would say that this entity, this person or persons, is extremely powerful to know all of those particular things, especially to use mass texts. Another question, what powerful group of people is angry as a result of these election results that has this far of a reach and ease of access to citizens' demographics?
Eric Oste is managing director at Apollo Cyber. He believes it's not a single person behind this,
but rather individuals or an organization using a service to send multiple messages out.
This
presidential election has really divided us a lot. After the results and whatnot, I did see a lot of division on Instagram.
And while it's not known who, persons, group, or nation is behind the troublesome text, the purpose is to plant seeds that will grow into discord along political and racial lines in our country.
Whoa, those are two major clues. So it's got to be either a big, huge group, powerful group, or a nation maybe. But they want to sow political discord in our country after post-election. Post-election.
Why is the cyber expert saying it may be difficult to find the person responsible?
Now this clue deserves remark also. They're giving us a foreshadowing that whoever it is will not be caught. When we know that they have resources to find Russian disinformation, but they simply cannot find something that's going on right here in this country.
Federal law enforcement officials say they're not sure who's sending the messages or if they're coming from inside or outside the United States, but confirm that racist text messages have lit up the phone of black and brown Americans.
Where's this Ann Brown coming from? Because the reports are only black. I seriously doubt brown people would be triggered by references to slavery. Yes, the calls are coming from inside the house.
And so that was just something that was very concerning to me because it seemed like it was targeting a very specific demographic. And even though the address in the text message said something about North Carolina, the zip code was, or the area code was our area code. So it came from a 209 number, which is a local phone number. I just think we have to stay very aware of what's happening in our community, stay in touch with each other, and take attacks like this seriously. I would like for whoever is behind this to be held accountable.
Susan, let's gather all the clues, shall we? After election results, a certain powerful group with access to demographics as detailed as the census, enough influence over mass media and the FBI that doesn't mind traumatizing black people, and gaslighting us with police and NAACP investigation, with enough reach that covers over 24 states with no fear of accountability. It doesn't sound to me like Trump voters. It sounds like,
hey CRT, get your news in color.